The production process for Your Sister Sent Me was actually really hard because it's such a sad movie, and the majority of what I make is comedy and things that make people feel good. I almost started like crying because it was exactly how I imagined, it was exactly how I wrote it. Finally, like it hit me, oh, that's what's happening in this scene, you know? And I had some other people in production come up to me later, and when we were done filming and everything, who told me, yeah, when we were on set and we had to do that stuff, that was so sad. And I mean, I almost cried and stuff. And you know, this isn't girls telling me this is other guys on production who were just there on set because it involved little children and because it, you know, involved loss.
We had a lot of time to prepare to do this compared to other projects I've done in the past. So it gave us like a really cool opportunity to just like stand back and like look at what we did as far as in the pre-production, you know, like why are we doing these shots, why are we doing this, what do we want to do, what kind of look and feel, and so it really changed a lot in pre-production.
But it was really interesting to see Chris and Jesse work together, that you could tell that they had really thought everything out, and they were really good at communicating with each other, and Jesse had a vision and Chris had an idea for how to get there, and they would put their minds together and just stuff would happen that would make everyone really excited about it.
I wholeheartedly agree about the tightness of the team, the organization, and the fact that I didn't feel like any of my time, which actually isn't very valuable, but I didn't feel like very much of my time was wasted in the process. Also, I think I learned a lot just seeing all of the team work together and all the various parts.
I'm used to being in charge of a ton of different things, being an independent filmmaker, and especially right after graduating college. It was letting go and being patient with their work. I knew that they would do a good job and I knew that they were trustworthy people, but there was a part of me that just wasn't used to that. So that was really the hardest part.
This was probably one of the first films ever that we had actually canceled shooting due to weather. What would have taken like one day, we kind of like stretched out over the next couple of weeks, and in the middle of that we had like the 48-hour film that we were doing.
Working with me.
You had a hard time working with yourself. I would really say just kind of external forces beyond our control was the most challenging part, because everything else went pretty swimmingly.
Dealing with the weather. Because we shot outside the second day for probably somewhere between 12 and 27 hours.
My favorite part of Your Sister Sent Me was being on set. The second day, when we were out in the field and we had the kids there, we did a really, really beautiful dolly shot where the actor Luke walks towards Emma as she's lying on the ground. And as we were filming it, and then in post, it just became this shot where we just sort of like, oh, you know, and just being there to create it was awesome.
And she's on the ground, and there's just this beautiful sequence. We do this really nice dolly shot that, you know, just comes across, and just the way we got to play with movement and lighting, and you know, Jessie had a lot of like really cool ideas for how she wanted to express that specific scene with lighting, which really gave me as a cinematographer some opportunity to really play with light.
I really liked working with Luke, because obviously, as you can see, he's a character in and of himself. So it was, thank you. Even though it was a dramatic film,
I wanted that back.
You will. Give me some time. Even though it was a dramatic film, and it proved challenging sometimes, you know, to not want to laugh and joke around. You know, it was nice that the mood can be lightened, and a majority of the time it was Luke doing the lightening of the mood.
I kept my butt out because it's that kind of hug. It is that kind of hug. It's that kind of hug. You know, it's like there's people who like full body hug, and the people who are like, yeah.
It's like there's this kind of awkward hug where you go like that to the neck, or you just or the one where you just kind of like go like this. You just go like.
Suddenly very uncomfortable. Wait, we're time traveling.
I'm gonna reciprocate because I really enjoyed working with Yvonne, and I feel like I learned a lot about. I'll take you out for coffee sometime. I feel like I learned a lot about different different methods of getting into character. And I'm not talking about method acting, I'm just talking about how you were focused and intent, you know, in the scenes that were emotional, and I took notes. They were mental, and I lost them, but I took notes, and I feel like I learned some stuff from you, which is great.
Thanks for saying that.
I wouldn't go to any other time period ever. Just with the innovation of technology, how far technology has come, I just think it's awesome. I think there are a lot of like cool things I'd like to see, but as far as like living and being in, I think this is arguably one of the best time periods ever to be in. And a lot of people are like, I don't feel like I'm supposed to like live here. And you know that you hear people saying like, oh, I feel like I was supposed to be born in the 1500s or whatever. I feel like I was supposed to be born when I was born. Like the world makes sense to me. I like it.
I think I would travel back to 1491 and sail across the Atlantic, discover a new land, which we know now as America, and just call it Luke's Place.
Christopher, our director of photography, wanted to make a drama, and I told him I didn't write dramas, and he said, well, write me a drama. And I was working on a book at the time with time travelers in it, and in the process of writing the book, I had this idea of, well, what if I just took one day in the life of these time travelers and I made it into a screenplay? And it's funny because the story in this film does not appear in the book whatsoever. Like, it's never talked about, it's never mentioned, it will never be mentioned. But somehow it exists, only as a film. So it's all Chris's fault.
I've always really enjoyed the way James Bond films are photographed visually. I really enjoyed just the aspect of how they've used color to convey mood and emotion, and plus it's just such an iconic film series. I think it'd be a huge honor to work on a James Bond film. I also really enjoy making sci-fi films, so like working on this film was like so much fun because it was like, it's a sci-fi, but it's also kind of like organic and raw and real. And I really like dramas. I'm a sucker for a good drama. I love dramas. Dramas are, if I could make dramas for the rest of my life, I'd be happy.
You're a special kind of guy. Yeah, the end.